guys. Okay, so today we're going to talk about graphing quadratic equations in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. And remember that these are just numbers here, right? So this is a number, this is a number. And we're going to talk about how we can do this kind of quickly. So s and t, so we're going to, basically, we use this procedure called STYV. So s and t are the two zeros, so our two x-intercepts. Okay, and so this is, remember, where our line or our curve crosses the x-axis. Oops, x-axis. Okay. And then our y, that's going to be our y-intercept, which is where our curve crosses the y-axis. And then v, that's our vertex. Okay, so where we switch direction, so our highest or our lowest point. And that's the highest or the lowest point on our graph. So I've kind of laid out the step here, the procedure. So the first one is that we're going to find and plot the y-intercept. And we're going to start with our quadratic equation. And specifically, it needs to be in the form of y equals x squared plus bx plus c. So here, the end number, that c value, so this number right here, that's going to be our y-intercept. Okay, and basically that's where the graph is going to cross the y-axis. So once we have that y-intercept and we plot that point, now you're going to do the same thing. You're going to factor your equation so that it's in the form, so it's in the form of x plus a, x plus b. So we're making those two brackets and we're factoring. Now our s and t, that's basically this here, right? So this is, you could actually replace our a and b here just with the letters s and t. Okay, so our s and t are the x-intercepts, or as we said before, we call them the zeros. Okay, and again, where that graph or the curve crosses the x-axis, we call those our zeros. And s and t are going to have those opposite signs. Okay, so for example, if I had like x plus 4, x plus 3, my zeros here would be -4 and -3. Okay, opposite signs. So once we do this, now we're going to use s and t to find the midpoint, so that halfway point. Between our x-intercepts. And you do that just by adding your two x-intercepts together, dividing by 2. Now, you're going to plot any reflection points here. Because remember that this is like symmetry, right? So if I had points like this, and then I had this and this, I'm going to plot my reflection points, and this is what I mean here. I know that there has to be a point like this and a point like this because it's that perfect mirror image here. Okay? Need to have that symmetry. So once we do that, and we've done this all last week, you're going to substitute any values in to find y, and our vertex here is going to be at x and y. Okay? Once that's all done, we're going to draw, so we plot the points on our graph and draw it. So let's actually look at this example, okay? X squared plus 2x minus 8. Step 1. My y-intercept is the last number in that chain, which is going to be negative 8. Okay? So on my graph here, I'm going to find negative 8 on my y-axis, so negative 8 on this axis, and I'm going to plot it. Okay? Our step 2 now is going to be to factor the equation that we were given. Remember, factor means that we are going to try to find something that multiplies to negative 8 and adds to 2. So if you're factoring or writing out the factors of 8, you have 1 times 8, 2 times 4, and then you have to also do those twice because it's a negative number. So you switch the signs that the negative factors into. Now those are going to multiply to negative 8. I need to figure out something that adds to positive 2, and 4 plus negative 2 is going to do that there. Okay, so this is going to look like this. Then I throw an x in each bracket, my minus 2, x plus 4. And remember we said that our intercepts are going to be the opposite signs of what I see here. So if this is a negative 2, it's actually going to be a 2. This is a positive 4, it's actually going to be a negative 4. Okay, I'm going to now plot these on my graph. So I'm going to find on my x-axis 2 and negative 4. Draw dots. Okay. So let's go to step 3. And remember, you guys can pause, rewind, re-listen so that you are kind of on track here. I know sometimes I like to listen to something and then go back and take the note after. So now I'm going to find my midpoint. And I do this by adding both of my x-intercepts together. So I'm going to do negative 4 plus 2. Then I'm going to divide it by 2. Negative 4 plus 2 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So that's going to be my midpoint. I know that that's going to be somewhere kind of in between what I'm seeing here. And I'm going to now substitute oh sorry, this is negative right here. Substitute the value that you get into your equation. Okay, so substitute my x value into my equation. So here I have y equals x squared plus 2x minus 8, and I'm going to substitute my negative 1 into this equation here. Negative 1 squared is 1. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, and then negative 8 there. Okay. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 minus 8 is negative 9. So this means that my vertex here is at negative 1 and negative 9. Okay. So this was my step 4. So now I'm going to draw a dot there. I'm going to find negative 1 and negative 9, and I'm going to draw a dot, which is right here. So in the last step, we're going to mirror all of the dots that we have on our graph here. And so basically what that means is that our axis of symmetry, imagine that there is a mirror being held up from that green dot. And so if on this side of the green dot, I go over and up 1 to get to my red dot, I need to do that again on the left-hand side. So I'm going to go over and up 1, and I can draw a dot there. So there should be a mirror image here. And you notice that there's mirror images for all of them. So now, because I have 3 dots on each side, 3 points on each side, I can connect these. And on your paper, it's a little bit easier than on my screen. You can kind of move the paper to connect, okay? So now that's drawn. Okay, so that's today's lesson. Feel free to go back and rewind and let me know if you have any questions. I miss you all, and I hope that you're doing well.